The article that I had to present on was the learning effectiveness of integrating ebooks into elementary science and technology classes. And basically, this article was done, it was a study that was done to determine the effectiveness of integrating ebooks into elementary science and technology classes. The study used 66 grade elementary science students. They were equally divided into a control group and an experimental group. The control group utilized a paper-based learning model. So this is basically using like a regular textbook that we would, that are traditionally used in science classrooms, or using like printed resources, things like that were actually like paper, pencil things for them to do. The experimental group applied an ebook learning method. So they used basically technology for assignments and things like that. They would use the ebook that was created. They could pull it up on iPads, Chromebooks, laptops, anything like that, where they could use it during class. And the results of the study showed that there was no correlation between the effectiveness in male versus female students. So basically, they could not see that female students performed better or higher or had, better attitudes towards towards using the ebook or not using the ebook. There was no correlation there when it came down to the sex or gender of the students. However, there was a very high correlation in student attitude, student motivation, student learning effectiveness, and students' attitude towards the integration of the ebook. So basically, and I'm going to go over to the article so we can kind of see some of these things, or where I typed up my summary. So basically, what they were, trying to figure out here is, how do students feel about utilizing the ebook? What is their attitudes to that? What is their attitudes toward integrating this into the classroom use of the ebooks? And then also, were there better, effectiveness? Did it overall affect the comprehension that the students had when they were using the ebooks? Okay, so evidence showed that there was a high correlation between learning motivations and learning effectiveness for the experimental group. So students were more motivated to actually get in there and begin learning, and their overall comprehension and understanding of the material, showing the effectiveness of utilizing the ebook, was higher for students who were in that experimental group. There were also significant correlations between learning attitudes and effectiveness. So the students basically had a better attitude about using the ebooks as well. And I think, which we've talked about this a lot, our kids nowadays are so used to using technology that going back to a traditional book seems very boring to them. It almost seems outdated. And so their attitudes and their motivation to learn in those subjects is lower. So, and this supported that completely. Students' attitudes were much better, and the effectiveness of the learning for the group was much higher. And finally, the study showed that the experimental group appeared to feel positively about the integration of ebooks and attributed their use of enhancing effectiveness and improving student learning motivation. So basically, they're saying that students' motivation, their attitudes, and the use of the ebooks are what was causing the improvement in student learning and in the effectiveness overall of the use of the books. So I'll go back to my summary handout now. And so the question I think that was probably the most, important, and something that probably could have given us a good conversation would be question number 2. And I think it's something that, like I said, we've talked about in several classes before. Do you think that students today have more motivation and a more positive attitude towards ebook integration because they have been raised in a technology-driven society? And I think this is totally true. I think that our students are so used to having an iPad in their hands for everything. Anything they want to do, anything that they want, they can get easily at their fingertips. And so giving them a book that they can have with them at all times is, and they don't have to keep up with something else. Like, they're already keeping up with an iPad. So if you put that ebook on there, number one, it's less things that they have to keep up with. and they're more than likely to come to class with what they need, and so they're more prepared. And I think that just having the use of the ebook, and knowing that, hey, this is more around what I'm interested in. This is more, more modern, and they don't feel like they're so much stuck inside of an old rut of traditional instructional methods and books. So I definitely think that motivation and attitude has to do with the fact that it is, technology based, and the kids these days are very much interested in that. So that is my Article 3 summary, and I appreciate you accepting this with everything that's been going on.